morning everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is just a very short update on the garden room project here. So you can see that I've got the roof all pitched on. I've got collar ties in, which I'll show you what those are in a minute. And I'm just starting to put on all the wind bracing. So I'll put some diagonals on the bottom. I'll put some temporary ones on the top so I can get it all tied in together. I've formed all the gable ends. Now, the reason why I couldn't show you how I formed the gable ends is the gable ends are basically the end section of the roof. So both that side, and it forms that triangle section. Now, the reason why I couldn't show you that is we've had terrible weather, and the camera that I've got, all the microphones and everything like that on there aren't waterproof. So I couldn't show you it in the pouring rain. So I'm just going to do a little walk around with you and just show you what I've done from, I think it was like middle of December up until now, and then I'll go through the next step of the build. All right guys, and let's just take you along and show you what we've done. So first off, we mentioned the collar ties. So the collar ties are these big 9x2 timbers spanning all the way across from one side to the other, and then they are fixed in using some timber connecting bolts, self-drive ones, up on the top and the bottom where the bird's mouth or the rafters meet the wall plate. And then once I got all these lot through, I then put on my wind bracing, which are, just walk across the joists. We'll get up there and I'll show you. Tight, right. So you can see these lateral pieces of 4x1 spanning all the way across over the top of my ceiling joists or collar ties, all the way through to the gable end, and all the way through to this gable end. Okay, so this just helps stop any sort of racking, keeps these joists nice and straight, nice and true at 400mm centres. And you know exactly how we set them all out, because I've shown you how to set them out through putting on the rafters, setting out floor joists, and setting out for all your external stud work, even internal stud work, things like that guys. Okay, so what I've also done is put in temporary lateral braces across the top of the rafters, okay, just to stop them from moving but also keep them nice and straight. But then what I can do then is, you can see there's a temporary diagonal on the top of these rafters, but I've also put some underneath. All right, so those will be the permanently fixed ones. So I'm going to put in another diagonal brace up to here, and then another diagonal brace down to the gable end, and I tried to get them on a 45-degree angle. So what I'll do, I'll hop outside and I'll show you how I formed the gable end detail. So now guys, this is the gable end detail here. This overhang section here is going to represent where soffit board is going to come up underneath these 4x2s. Okay, so the way that I've designed it is this head plate here is fixed into this rafter, which gives support for these gable end ladder noggins to come across here, because you can imagine this spanning across there, it's just going to be a bit floppy. So that's why I've put a fixed noggin cut at the pitch of this roof, which is 20 degrees, spanning across to the end of the rafter, down that end on the gable end ladder. Then it just comes all the way up and all the way back down again. And then I just set some 4x1s bracing across here just to help stop any drop if there is any drop. And then what I've done on the ridge detail is to come all the way down, and then I've got studs, one coming directly underneath. I'm not going to get underneath there to show you. So there you got one directly underneath the ridge, and then you got two either side, and then they're fixed through with some long screws just to help tie it in. Then it also just provides that tiny bit more support for the ridge on the end, and it's the same down the opposite end as well. And then these ladder noggins are just fixed up underneath into there, just to give a little bit more support as well. So now that all the bracing's done along here, I can then start to take off some of the bracing on that end, and then I can get the rest of the diagonals done on this side, and then I can do the rest on the adjacent side on this side. Then once that's done, it's then we've got to put on all of our OSB tongue and groove sheathing to go all across the top over this, and then we're going to put a breathing membrane over the top, and then battens, and then we got our sheeting material, the finished stuff, which is like a corrugated U shape, like this sort of shape, okay, like that. And then that'll get, then you'll have a battens underneath like that, and then we'll have a series of thicksons all the way through. But I haven't got the installation details yet of how far I need to space out the battens and things like that, and does it get fixed to the top, or does it get fixed in between in the little pocket in here. So once I've got all that, we can then start to get it fully finished, this roof. But as long as it's watertight, then we can at least jump in there and start doing all the insulating and things like that in the stud work, and then get the floor down and get cracking